We'll call this October the 11th, 2017 Fayette County meeting of the Fayette County Area Plans Commission to order. Please join me in the pledge of the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I have a question for Mr. Judd. Now, as we don't have a quorum, we can't make any real decisions.
Right.
Now, does that preclude, or how would that affect actually among the members who are here that might have some comments about the sign, the first draft on the sign regulations? Can this at least be legally discussed, or are we wading into a gray area?
We're wading into a kind of a gray area. I don't think there's a problem with comments, but definitely no voting,
Okay,
no motions, nothing like that.
okay. Yeah, because of course we won't.
If you want to give a preview of what we're going to do next meeting, I don't think there's a problem with that.
Okay, all right.
Okay, well, let's do the roll call. Make it official.
Brian Jennings. Leota.
Here.
Frank Jackson.
Here.
Chad Frank. Warren Sudoff. Ruby Seiler. Ed Harrell.
Here.
Jason Waterman. Dick O'Neill.
Here.
Bill McDaniel.
Present.
Our attorney Colin Judd.
Here.
And myself.
Okay, so we do not have a quorum.
Okay. I think maybe it'd be appropriate then to, we've had this problem over the years anyway, particularly if there wasn't any critical business on the Wednesday of Columbus Day week. And traditionally, the reason that when I started with here is because, okay, Wednesday was chosen, of course, because we had the holiday on Monday. And for all those years that Carl Hilton was on the Plan Commission, he's also on the school board. Hence, that was the rationale for doing so. Now, if in the future, as Mrs. King asked, is if we could have it on a different day in the future rather than Wednesday because of church. And if we could, so when time comes in December, if you could also go ahead and remind me is when we're putting together the actual schedule for 2018. Okay, I really doubt the other plan commission members, so the choices would really be, do we go ahead and still have it on Columbus Day, or do we have it on Tuesday? But because the only person that would then be excluded from that would be Brian Jennings. So that would be something for that time. So that'll be a discussion for December, and then make the decision on, in December for that. And did you have a comment, Kenny?
No.
Oh, I thought you were excitedly waving your hand.
No.
You must have scratched your head or your ear. So that's where we stand with that. And I think it's entirely reasonable because it isn't, as I said, really isn't going to be critical. All right, of course, we can't vote on the minutes from June 12th because we don't have the quorum. There's no public hearings. Now, this at this point is the sign regulations draft 6. And I took care of some of the comments from that last time around, but this draft 6 included some of the comments from Plan Commission and Zoning Board members, and it also made use of, rather than everything in prose, it also has the tables. And so that's what is going to be in place. So what we want to do then next month is I'd like to have some discussion on the definitions. And also if we could, so if you have any questions, any clarifications, we'll ask something there. Should something else, as you have a chance to go through the entire regulations, is why isn't something else there? Maybe should something else be added to the definitions? Then the other part, which is in the definitions, of course, is critical because that guides the entire interpretation with, the zoning code, any nuisance codes, anything, city codes, state codes, federal codes. Definitions are critical, how it's interpreted. So if they aren't clear, we really need to make the language as clear as possible. One thing I did add on some of the definitions to, it typically is not done. But notice in some of the definitions is what I have actually referenced to in some of the actual types of signs and things that are not permitted is I also making it clear in the definitions. Also trying to make clear in the definitions also when something is permitted, but it's exempt, say, from the total of your sign program, such as all the accessory signs that are on shopping centers, directional signs, things like that. So, things along those lines with definitions. But really, then the big one is the second part, which is the heart of the sign regulations. Are going to be your dimensional regulations, your setbacks, your separation distances, the sign heights, the heights of the signs, the size of the sign face, the size of the total amount of the sign program itself based on the, and I've tried to simplify rather than, I think it's Kenny in particular has been around long enough to see them, is that some of the formulas that were used to determine the total amount of signs that you can get were kind of awkward to use. So I tried to simplify that into just, if you come across those yet, Kenny?
A little bit.
Okay, so just really, I think the way it's determined, the total square footage per sign program, I think it's simplified, so there's only just one way to determine it. You don't have the alternatives. One of the models I used to try to figure out give me something to play with was I measured the entire frontage parallel to the street for the shopping center where Kroger is at. So it's measuring the actual linear footage, then estimating the actual square footage on all those signs, then all the signs, and then the size of the signs that were on the shopping center sign. So I try to take all those into consideration I think it's a fair representation of what you could expect with something. So it's so that's, the model there with, a lot of it's based on what we actually really have in the real world. Then as you get farther away from the street particularly on building signs, you need to allow a little bit more size on the actual signs the farther they are away from the street. So there's, based on the distances, I don't recall right offhand, it allows a little bit more. Say at say 250 feet, 500 feet as examples. So that's trying to make it a little more reasonable. Then we have the formula for based on the square footage, this is the maximum height of the sign you could have. You just simplified it to where, boom, if you have a freestanding sign, whether it's for shopping center, just a single tenant, this is the maximum size you have, and then it provides a maximum with a variance that the zoning board is actually allowed to give up to. The same things with, size of the sign, so so there's differences in the heights on those. So instead of, you get so many square feet for every linear foot of frontage, it's junk that, it adds complexity where something really isn't needed. And that's one of the things I try to do. And as you're going through and reviewing those, if something seems excessively complex, please let me know that also. Because those are the things also, is because I would like us to get to the point where anybody who reads that with a minimal amount of assistance from me can really understand what's in it. But that being said, I don't know if anybody has any comments from what and I apologize thank you to Kenny for reminding me, but I had sort of and I didn't send out the email with the most recent draft when I intended to, and I apologize for that. No excuse for me having a brain dysfunction, but so I hope you all can forgive me for that.
We'll take it under advisement.
Okay. Well, as long as you don't hold it against me at the first meeting in January, okay? Yeah, so if anybody has any concerns or anything else that, right off the top of your head right now, that dealing with these sign regulations, if there's anything you want to say right now about it, please go right ahead. We have 20 minutes.
I received the email first thing this morning.
Yep.
And I did not have time to read it. Well,
I,
it didn't come in this morning because I was in a meetings until 12:30 today.
yeah, like I said, I apologize for all that. I mean, it's, you know, I try not to do that, and I think most of the time I'm pretty good at getting things out when I
Yeah.
say I'm going to. But unfortunately, at times you know, mentally I fall off a cliff.
Page 20, or page 14.
All right.
This is just a question, I guess.
Oh, yeah, well, let me go to that.
Page 14, and that's the only page I've brought, so.
Okay, page 14.
Number 24,
Okay, yard signs.
yard signs. The second and third sentence, it says yard signs less than 16 square feet are allowed without permit.
Yep.
Yard signs greater than 16 and 32 square feet required.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't really, should that say yard signs up to and including 16 square feet?
Yes.
Because if I have
16 to
one-
32 square feet, yeah.
And then yard signs greater than 16 and up to 32 square feet,
Yeah.
and then larger than are not permitted.
Yeah.
Just,
Okay, well, thank
it
you.
just
That's,
seemed a little bit, when I read it, I said, you know, if I got one exactly 16 square feet, then it doesn't apply to either.
yeah, 16 to
Okay.
32. Thank you. Yes. Thank you for being my second, third, and fourth sets of eyes. Yeah.
Okay.
That's all you caught so far, Ed?
So far. Well, does anybody have anything else?
I moved to adjourn.
Well, I don't even know that we even need a
Yeah, we
motion.
don't need a
We don't
motion.
need a
Yeah.
motion, we just,
Close
we
it out.
are adjourned with that, and due to a lack of a quorum.
I now call the October 11th, 2017 BZA meeting to order. Everyone, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, roll call.
Carrie Steele. Kenny Burgess.
Here.
Bill Crawford.
Here.
Ed Harrell.
Here.
Jason Waterman. Bill McDaniel.
Present.
Colin Judd.
Here.
And myself.
Okay, next on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the September 11th, 2017 meeting.
I move to approve.
Second.
And a motion made and properly seconded to approve the Board of Zoning minutes from September 11th, 2017. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Okay, since there's no public hearings, we won't have any part with that. Next on the agenda is sign regulations update, paragraph A through D, draft number 6.
Okay, I know that, and once again, actually, I think Bill's the only one who really got it early in the time frame, since I have to mail him everything.
That's right.
He cost me and the other county taxpayers money because he wants to email.
Well, I pay extra for where I live. So, that's good.
Oh, yeah, those are city taxes, not county.
Oh, okay, that's true.
But, so anything that you come across, Ed's already came up with something on the definitions, but really as much as possible up front with the definitions of anything that's in there that you've got questions over, or,
On page 3,
yep,
number 3, alterations
Yep.
under, is that kind of talking about like if if they have a sign already and they're just wanting to change a phone number or?
No, that's where on the, down on the bottom part, changing, replacing sign copy
Oh, okay.
or sign face or panel with the same size copy, face or panel is not an alteration and allowed without a permit.
So that's like if somebody wants to change their name and phone number.
Yeah, exactly,
That's right.
yeah. Yeah, so the real concern we have as far as with that is because the sign structure is the concern that we have.
Right, okay.
So if they're making that larger, they're either taller or they're changing the actual structure, even if they're making it smaller, they're replacing with something smaller, still requires because it's a structural improvement. Still
Okay.
need footings, things like that.
And then on number 4, the beacon,
Yep.
so they're not gonna be allowed to have those big spotlights like they used to on grand openings?
No, because the big concern, of course, with that is that, and the concern with that goes even beyond just in the airport protection district.
Oh, okay.
Because you have planes, it can be, well, it is a form of fire, we can probably attest to, even if you're not close, can be a problem. Yeah. A lot of visual confusion, even if it's not hitting you. So, yeah.
And then the other question I had was on page 5,
Yeah.
number 12, the mural.
Yep.
Okay, it says down in the middle of that, a mural that qualifies as an on or off premise sign shall be classified as a sign and not a mural.
Yeah.
Does not require a permit.
Okay, all right. Okay, that's the problem right there, yeah. Because the thing I'm trying to do is that had me thinking more about the mural. There was an article in the Indianapolis Star earlier in the summer. And what it was is that, Franklin, Indiana was treating murals like a sign rather than public art. So the problem they had with that language is that for someone to paint just like on the side of this building, the one with for the high school band history, well, that has to be treated. Then if it's more than the actual allowed square footage, then you got to get a variance, you got to get a permit. So they're making them run through the same sort of hoops as for public art as they were if someone's actually doing a sign. An example is a sign mural might be, okay, I don't know if since it isn't their building, is, the one down next to where the old Sears is at next to Heritage Bank. That's kind of iffy because it's with Duke, but it really isn't a advertising sign.
Right.
Another one is, for example, how would you, say if someone who has purchased the Hebe Hackman building, say they want to restore the actual sign. Well, it's more part of the Connersville history and the public, public art, rather putting that back up there rather than a sign. Well, would you treat something like that as actually a mural and art, or rather a historic restoration, or would you treat that as a sign? Now, the sign that's on a building would be one, say this is the name of the building, even though you might have a nice painting that goes with it. One of the problems they ran into, one over at the Franklin, was that there's a building that was in a particular type of business. But there's no mention of the actual sign itself, but they had this mural that was thematically aligned to the business, but it really wasn't a sign. I ran one into, there's one when I was in Massachusetts. It was in Cambridge, Massachusetts. And it was an aquarium store, a fish store. But, so what they had is on this blank side of a building that otherwise is a blank side of a building on a parking lot facing a street. So they just painted a mural that were just fish scenes. Well, and then they got all kinds of heck over that because, well, that's advertising your business. But you might be advertising your business, but is it really actually public art, or is it this? So I'm trying to find more to work with on the mural because I want to get it really clear is that, because there's a lot of, well, let's face it, there's a lot of buildings in Connersville that could really help by having a mural on the side of the building. Yeah. So, but this is one right there where it's I haven't found as much help on that because, I I mean, just on mural, I spent about 2-3 hours just trying to research zoning code references to murals, and it's really, there's just not much there to give me guidance. Yeah, because you get some of the other ones is then you have, once again, you get into this, all sorts of standards and determinations of how to determine that this is a sign, what is the maximum size you can have on this, and things along those lines. But so it's,
But determined from art to advertising, that's a blurry
It,
line
it, it,
sometimes.
re- it really is, just like I said, the one that down there that says something about Duke.
And
well-
they'll play games,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, and so what it really comes down to with that is, well, in its own way, is that, well, is it really advertising when someone has in the city of Connersville a electric monopoly? Electric service. So is that really a sign advertising, or is it a mural?
Right. And it's talking about the history of it, more than
Exactly.
today's business.
Yeah. So.
Mm.
So,
Does it-
I mean, so a lot of these things we won't be able to, just in this definition, that's to think about, but it's one where, yeah, it's trying to figure out I mean, I do need to work on the language, so I have something that's kind of a little more clear cut with that, because I'm aware that, that's one of the ones where, even without what you found, Bill, the
Right.
language on that definition is still pretty,
That's,
awkward.
that's hard to pin down, really,
Yeah.
because like Kenny said, people are gonna work the angles on it, trying to fill in the little loopholes,
Mhm.
what they're gonna do.
Yeah.
The last time we were working on signs, and I think it was it's not there anymore, the sandwich shop at the Shell station
Yeah.
on 30th Street, and the owner, he was talking about putting a semi out front with his, advertisement on the side of the semi, just leave it parked out there, but we had that clarified in there, because we
What's
thought
still in there,
ahead
that
on
you
that,
can, yeah, you can have it on the vehicle, but it has to be moved, you just can't leave
Right.
it there. It's like the one that's the one that's been parked forever off of 70 in Henry County.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
The only other thing I had, I still wanna say you did a great job on the charts, the application part. I think putting them in that chart
Yeah.
form helped a lot. I mean, that's gonna help a lot of people simplify that process,
Yeah,
so I
okay.
think you did.
Well, I
a good job
appreciate
on
that because that was, I mean, I'll admit it, I mean, that was, it was time consuming and difficult to, so there may still be some redundancies in there, I don't know.
Right.
But, I mean,
But I think
it took a lot of time to really pick out and get rid of a lot of the redundancies within it. Because I think that does help, because a lot of I think it eliminates, because when it was in the pros, there were a lot of redundant statements in each different section multiple times, it's the same thing. So like I said, I hope it's more usable.
Oh, I think it is.
Okay, and so that's what I was trying to do with it, is because when you do these tables and you do these matrices like that, it's really easy to get them to where they aren't as usable as you'd hope.
Right.
Yeah, just like the tables from the previous current sign regulations.
Right.
Yeah, in retrospect, I didn't do as good of a job on those tables as I should have. I made a lot of things needlessly complicated in that previous one.
Well, I know without those, it's like, if this, then this, if this, then this, and it really complicates it for the average person out there trying
Yeah.
to just simplify. I just need a sign, that's all I need,
Yeah.
just give me something
Yeah,
that
that's-
says this is what I need and this is the neighborhood
Yeah.
I live in and the type zoning.
Yeah, it's the,
So I think
yeah,
that helps a
and
lot.
so I'm trying to do that is there's also sort of a statement I've made in the past, I think most of you have heard it. I'm a planner, therefore I caveat. Because so many things, because a lot of things we can do just straightforward without conditions, we can do. And I know I can do a lot more, but there's always certain situations where, and I know it's frustrating at times to listen to me because I can't always give a straight answer.
No.
Because there is no straight answer to be had.
Sometimes there's not, no, you're
Yeah.
right.
So,
Most of these sign ordinances come when we have a new business comes, and then they get their signs and they put them up. One of the main problems we have is through the years, they start sticking up other signs, you know, like at the 30th Street. And it bothers me with the intersections, when they start putting signs up and they start, like the, underneath the main signs, like at gas stations with well, how far up is it? You're not supposed to have, what?
9 feet.
9 feet. So there's a clearance of 9 feet, so you can see traffic coming and you can see people walking down the sidewalks, and next thing you know, they've got banners up, and they just fill it all in over time. So that's what bothers me, and we gotta find a way to make sure we keep that kind of stuff cleared up.
Yeah, well, I think what it would be is that, because right now, would be, again, in violation of this one, it's in violation of the current one.
Right.
So I think it's just a matter of, finding these different things, and it's just have a nice letter. It's like, look, wasn't permitted under the other. It's a safety violation. Please remove.
So I got brought up not too long ago with the APC, is that talking with Harold, the mayor, he's fine with the police department being the ones that do the enforcement.
Yeah.
If we wanted that to happen, or the APC wanted that to happen.
Oh, yeah.
And he said it really makes more sense to do that, because if you have somebody showing up at your door that's got a uniform and a badge, or you should have Bill show up, I mean, there's, you know.
Well, it's the most effective it was when Richard Hicks. Richard did a great job. We started developing the relationship with Bill and then with Paul. We just worked out the protocol for just forwarding the information, and then Richard would take care of it. It's just working out whatever the protocol would be.
I think they're willing to do that, or at least
The mayor is.
Mayor Gordon is,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, so-
we need to,
Yeah.
I think we need to push that and get that taken care of.
Okay. Because because the zoning code's in there, so it's part of the city code.
Right.
So
And we need to educate them a little bit too on some of this stuff.
Yeah.
The police department.
Well, there have been a couple, earlier in the year, there were a few problem properties that working back and forth, trying to do things, working with, Assistant Chief Fee to get cleaned up, and we did. So he did actually then, I tried mine, didn't, and so he went into the, so they can enforce the zoning code. Like I said, someone shows up with a badge and a gun.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the only questions I had.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else? Okay.
And you probably also notices when the format I tried to do the definitions is I really did try to do, because the previous ones, and also, similar things should be done with the definitions in the zoning code itself. I really think that trying to thematically within those definitions, it makes it a lot easier to find, a lot easier to use, I think. Such as, signs permanent. Boom, you have your whole list of those. Advertising murals, animated signs. Well, animated signs, you have your air-activated graphic, mechanically activated, electronically activated. Then you have banner, blade sign, building sign. So under building sign, you have wall sign, window sign, awning sign, and so on. So I think that makes it a little easier to use also, is that thematic links.
Does it address in there, I might have missed it, but I don't remember seeing it, the flashing red light?
Yeah, it's in there.
Okay.
Yeah, it's,
I maybe just missed it.
yeah, because it's farther back in the part with the prohibit. It's,
okay.
Yeah.
That'd
And
be state law anyway, wouldn't it?
Because I think that's kind of
Why?
critical. Or not kind of.
I don't know really if that is actually state law, but I do know that also NDOT within their roads, they still have something against it. Anything that be confused with flashing, rotating, anything along, there's people. Well, the other one also through NDOT is that you can phase in and phase out, but you can't have a
Strobe.
so off and on. So along in there, then there's things like these, then these signs that get stuck in the right of ways. I mean, it's just like last time I included the language that every jurisdiction in the other city is, if they want to remove those that are stuck in their right of way, those little yard signs,
I saw where you mentioned that.
they can yank them. Yeah, so it's, do you want to yank them or do you not want to yank them? Yeah, that's because I don't have time to do it. Yeah, yeah. But, in any case, there's nothing else.
Okay, next on the agenda is the director's report, which I understand we don't have that yet. So,
Thank you for phrasing it that way.
and next on the agenda would be a motion for adjournment. Unless anybody has any comments or something they want to bring up?
You said you're gonna bring up about the Irene Foster.
Okay,
thing,
yeah.
Right? You're gonna
Yeah,
take care of
Irene
that.
Foster she contacted me after the last meeting. I don't know whether Ms. Foster saw it herself or a friend. So the very next day, I received a phone call about a handicap ramp. Her question was whether or not it could be one that's portable, temporary, when someone is showing up that needs it, rather than leaving something out there on a permanent basis. So so I need to get, I mean, I haven't seen one thing one way or another.
I want you to
pretty
go back
heavy.
and look at what our motion was when we did it. I think it's been, over a year ago?
Yeah,
or-
it was over a year ago.
And I think we
Needed to
gave her-
be in place. So what I need to do is okay, have you come up with a solution yet? Because as long as it isn't dangerous, it meets the requirements of the ADA as far as the slope platforms, the rise, the run. Yeah, you could use something that's temporary.
I would think that would be pretty heavy, because she's probably 2 feet off the ground,
Yeah.
and you're gonna have to go out a pretty long ways.
Yeah.
If she's talking about not having a ramp and then putting a ramp out when she wants to,
Yeah.
I would have voted against that.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's not what we voted on.
Yeah.
If she wants to come back in here and discuss it, that's fine.
Okay.
But I'll vote against it.
Permanent ramp. Okay.
So, I think we were pretty.
I think that's what we intended. Well, I
Easy
know
with
it is. That's what
her. I think we gave her a whole year instead of 30 days.
I don't think it's been a year myself, but I didn't think we gave her a year, but I don't know that for sure.
We gave her a long time.
Yeah, we did, yeah, because I was surprised.
Because I didn't want to pressure her.
There was one
but-
person in the group gave her a long time. That
Okay.
surprised
So
me.
Bill, you're going to check into it, right?
Yep.
Thanks.
Are you looking for it right now?
But I didn't bring my old ones last year's.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
All righty.
Yeah, because they would be heavy because,
Well, it goes beyond that.
yeah. Well, it's also once you try to move something the first time, because they do make aluminum ramps that are not meant to be permanent structures.
Right.
But you can't have handicap ramps and put them up and take them down when you want to, because you're going to have people that are going to come
Yeah.
that won't be able to get in
Right.
because you don't have a ramp
Yeah.
up. So we're,
Yeah.
I think that would just be creating a can of worms.
yeah. So you'll have something for us next month.
Yep.
Probably. Okay.
Anything else?
If not, I move to adjourn.
Second.
Got a motion made and properly second to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.